What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to talk about the types of tortoises that I keep here at the camp and why. So many of you guys want to know what is the best species of tortoise to keep, and my answer is basically this. Wherever you live, figure out what tortoises do well. And firstly, we've got the Sulcata tortoise. Now, I live down here in South Florida. It is very hot. It is also very humid and wet. So I want to keep tortoises that are either very adaptable or come from a high humidity environment. Now, Sulcata tortoises are found along the Sahel region of Africa, which is just along the southern fringe of the Sahara Desert. So they are basically a semi-desert tortoise, dry, arid. However, there are some monsoonal rains that come through there. So that means these guys are quite adaptable. They can take some of the humidity, they can take some of the rain, but you don't want to let them get wet all the time. Now, here at the camp, I keep my Sulcata, I almost screwed that up, huh? Sulcata tortoises, they are kept here in a higher area of the property where water runs right off into the pond out there. So it doesn't have a lot of stagnant water, which is important. So it's high and dry. Very important for them, as these guys tend to like to make burrows. I don't let them do that in Florida because the rain, it's just too much, and burrows can collapse and it can actually entomb the tortoise in the burrow. Also, I wanted high and dry because they lay their eggs along these sandy borders here along my property line. So it's important to have that high dry area that they can actually dig down and lay their eggs. Now, we, as you saw, added a couple new tortoises here. There were 7. Now there are 9 tortoises living in this enclosure, and they get along really well. They're an incredibly adaptable species. They eat a wide variety of prepared foods like our Fluker tortoise diet. They'll also eat some produce, but mostly what these guys like to do is graze. They're eating weeds, they're eating browse, vines that grow up in these palmettos. Basically, they denude the ground. That's all they do, is they spend their time walking around, eating anything that they find enticing. Usually that's something green. So these guys are true grassland species. They love the roughage, and looks like he's gonna head on over there and see what's going on with the rest of that Fluker diet. He'll get a little nibble and then continue on his day, browsing, walking around, checking things out. So that's species number 1 here at the camp. And let's move on over to another grassland species that is yet highly adaptable and does well here in Florida. I try and minimize any kind of stressors on the animals, and therefore stresses on me keeping these animals. So the next species that does well here, it's been a bucket list species of mine, is our radiated tortoises. These, again, may be very rare, okay? They are highly endangered. However, these guys do extremely well here in South Florida. They can take the rain, they can take a little bit of cooler temperatures. They like the heat. They do extremely well. Now, over here, you'll see there's quite a few of them. We've got a bunch of these radiated tortoises, 9 of them to be exact. These guys originally are from Madagascar. They've been in the United States, this particular group of them, for many, many years, and they are just incredible. Now, there's so many of these represented here in the United States, even though they are an endangered species in their native Madagascar. So many of them are confiscated by Fish and Wildlife Police in Madagascar. There was a few years ago, I think 10,000 were confiscated that were trying to be illegally sent to China, and they had to put these animals back out there. They're one of 2 endemic species of tortoises on Madagascar, the other being the plowshare tortoise, which is critically endangered. About 300 left in the wild, and not too many here in captive situations in the United States and abroad. But the radiated tortoise, even though it's endangered, it is well represented here in the United States. It's a beautiful species. It reproduces readily here in the United States, and in Florida, they do incredibly well. So I'm really pleased with these. In fact, knock on wood, these have been some of the lowest maintenance tortoises that I have ever kept. I've had these guys going on 8 years now, and they are just incredible. All the tortoises I keep have beautiful streams that they can drink out of. They live near water. They're allowed to have drinking water. It's very important for these guys in order to properly stay hydrated and to keep that digestive system moving, because radiated tortoises are actually a species that are similar to the sulcata in that these guys are more roughage grazing species. They'll eat the different grasses that I've planted. You can see they've nibbled down a lot of that. They'll eat weeds. They're all over the place. These guys are fantastic tortoises. Now, right next to them is Circe, Boba, and then Timmy's way over there. And these are our juvenile Aldabra tortoises. Aldabra tortoises originate from the Indian Ocean in a small outcropping of what they call an atoll, which is a small basic island that's made of coral that's just cruising up. It's like a baby island. It's just beginning. It doesn't have, it's not a volcanic island. It's actually produced by coral and sea levels that have lowered, coral that have kind of, you know, reproduced and died, and then plants populated, and of course animals raft to them, and they do very well. So this is the Aldabra tortoise. They're also found on the Seychelles Islands where they were introduced. Beautiful species, one of the 2 giant tortoises on Earth. These, again, like the radiateds, are extremely adaptable and fantastic tortoises. They are also a species that is listed under CITES, so you have to watch out. You're not necessarily allowed to export them without proper permits to get them into the country, but once they're in the United States, you are able to send them over state lines, which is totally the opposite of the radiated tortoise. They are an endangered species, so you have to have a special captive wildlife permit in order to buy or sell them across state lines. However, here in the United States with radiated tortoise, or here actually in Florida, you can produce them in Florida and sell them in Florida without any permit. So know your laws if you are going to get a radiated tortoise. Now, these guys here, again, grazing species. They eat a lot of similar things as the radiated and sulcata tortoises. You'll notice they have mango trees here, and some of the fruit falls down. So you'll hear often people say, or tortoise people say, that the grassland species can have no fruit. I don't necessarily believe that. I think it's a seasonal food item. So what they'll do is it drops, they eat it, their bodies adjust to it just for that little while, and they do fine. So seasonally, for me, I've had no issues with them eating the mango that falls down out of the trees, and I kind of like it. It's a natural food. The tortoises love it. It's that time of year they get excited for a sweet mango, and it's nice. It's kind of like an automatic feeder, as you can see. There's plenty of it on the ground, and it disappears pretty quickly. So the Aldabra tortoises grow to, males can get up to 600 pounds, females a little bit lighter than that, but that is an incredible species. And again, another species that just does extremely well here for me. I find them to be quite hardy, quite personable. Let's move on over to Nostradamus, and I'll show you him. He's out here, as is our Galapagos tortoise. Oh, I threw some of this in. I trimmed this out. I thought maybe they would like to have some browse, but I guess they didn't like the taste of this. I had also fed them some of their tortoise diet from Fluker, so they probably weren't into the browse. But anyway, we've got Nostradamus, and we'll come back to Socrates here in a moment. But Nostradamus is a larger male that I've had since 2004. Some of you that follow the channel know him well, and look at how friendly he is. I just love him, and he does fantastic. He actually had a clutch mate that I bought in 2004, him and his clutch mate, and unfortunately the clutch mate died. He got pneumonia. So you do have to watch out for these guys. Keep an eye on them and make sure that they are kept warm, and that, you know, you don't let it get too damp and cold. That tends to be a problem for tortoises. If it gets too damp and too cold, they can get sick. And so pneumonia is something that happens from time to time with tortoises, and you really have to be conscious of it. And I'm plucking off a tick right here. So we've got a little bit of a tick. That happens also when you keep tortoises outside. I'm going to just squish the tick, or just rub the tick on the ground there and kill the tick. Very good. Anyway, he gets into this trance-like state, and he just allows me to kind of hang out and scratch him. And I think that's because when they are in the wild, birds will come down and pick the ectoparasites off them. And instead of birds doing it here in South Florida, it's Dad, it's me. I get all up in there. I give them rubs and loves, and I enjoy this tortoise so much. I've had him for 20 years, and he is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And he showed me he's a boy. That's how I know he's a boy. Otherwise, it takes a long time for them to really start to show their sexual dimorphism. And then if you notice, there's a little mosquito, and that mosquito is actually getting blood from his shell, which is incredible. You wouldn't think that there was it was a pervious situation, but yes, the proboscis of the mosquito can get through these little annuli and suck up blood through their shell. So that's something else as well. That's interesting. Shell's a living part of the tortoise, grows with the tortoise, and wow, awesome animal. Love Nostradamus. Let's go over here and have a look at our friend Socrates. Now Socrates I've had for many years as well, 19 to be exact. Whoa, I'm sliding down. And Socrates just getting a little bit of a drink here. We have water running into this, and it flows out and into the mud hole. And so right now he's doing what tortoises do, just kind of sniffing around, checking things out. We had a pretty good thunderstorm last night, and all the pine needles get thrown down in here, but that's kind of cool because it makes a tea, you know. I allow some of the leaves to get in there because these animals are drinking out in the wild. They get a natural tea. I don't know if there's any kind of antioxidants. I kind of allow it, and then I'll scrape it out, clean it all out. And I don't actually fill this up anymore because it's just, they always poop in it. So what I like to do is just have the nozzle, the water runs down, out the drain, fills up that mud hole that they totally love getting in, and then at least I know the water here is cleaner than stagnant water. So anyhow, this is a Galapagos tortoise, and another great species that does well here in South Florida. Adaptable. Of course, they are from the islands of the Galapagos. They are another type of grassland species, or species that's going to be eating the same foods as our Sulcata and radiated and Aldabra tortoise. The care is almost identical. The only thing that we've done different here is I created this a long time ago, this watering hole that they have to walk over and climb, and their islands that they live on are volcanic islands, and those islands actually have a lot of topography. And the tortoises travel great distances to find different foods that are in season. So what they'll do is they'll walk up and over, and they actually strengthen their hind legs. And in captivity, if you don't have enough elevation change, then these guys can potentially develop mobility problems, and you don't want that. So that's why we went ahead and did this for these tortoises. Oh, and look who's over here. Here's our large female. This is Darwin, and Darwin had those mobility problems. She's just finishing up some of her Fluker diet. She's saying hello to me. She is a character. We love her. We had gotten her way back in 2000, I believe it was 2013. So I've had her now for about 11 years, and she is amazing. But if you look at her back legs, they're kind of splayed out, and that's because she was kept on a flat surface for many, many years and didn't have that exercise we were talking about. Now, she's about 350 pounds. She is a full-grown female Sulcata tortoise. Excuse me, did I say Sulcata? She's a Galapagos tortoise. She's a full-grown Galapagos tortoise, and she is just a beautiful addition here to the camp. We love her to death, and gosh, she's just awesome. So again, they have all of these palmettos. They eat the weeds that grow up in them. They're traveling around this entire enclosure. They've got a lot of space. I try and replicate their natural environment as best as I can here in South Florida, but space is just the key to me. If you've got enough space for these animals, it can sustain them when you don't feed. So I only feed 2 to 3 times a week, some prepared foods. The rest of the time, they are actually doing their own thing, just wandering around, making themselves happy, wandering through the brush here, this little palmetto thicket, and that really works out well for me because it's less work that I've got to do. I don't have to worry about cleaning enclosures. I don't have to worry about always making sure they have food because these guys get a lot of browse on their own. Okay, so now we're going to move on over to a couple of different species. We're going to start over here with our cherryheads, And this is where things change a little bit. We're talking about South American species. It's a subspecies or a locale of the redfoot tortoise that don't get big. They stay small ish, and these are going to eat a wide variety of foods. They're going to eat fruits, they're going to eat your vegetation, they're going to eat leaves, they're going to eat grasses. These guys eat everything. They're from areas with high humidity, and also they're adaptable in the other direction. They can also take drier drier climates. So it's a really adaptable tortoise, similar to the Sulcata, although they're going to eat more of a fruit content. You can feed that throughout the year, not seasonally as the radiated tortoises we're getting. So that's pretty cool. And they're friendly and they're small and they're the perfect little pet tortoise for someone who doesn't have a lot of space, because they are just amazing. Look at this one. Just let me give him a little scratches under his neck, or her neck rather, and she cranes up just to see their pretty eyes. And when they're much younger, they have beautiful coloration. As they get older, you know, they live outdoors and they dull up, but they always keep those beautiful redheads. And then there are others that are just holding their color much differently. Now, the most famous one we have, of course, there's another female. The most famous one we have is Darth Maul. Darth Maul is a big old Bolivian cherryhead right here. Here she is. She's just hanging out in there. Everyone, smart tortoises, they go in and out during the winter. They know that this is heated. Now, of course, in the summer, this is not heated. It's just actually cooler in the summer. So they seek out their hide shelters, their hide boxes. They come in and out of that door, no problem at all. They're just amazing. So these are all the cherryheads. I absolutely love them. Again, making life easy, okay? You don't want to get a tortoise and keep it outdoors if it is not a good species for that. That could be a problem. It's a lot of work for you. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I wouldn't recommend leopard tortoises or pancake tortoises or any of the more arid species of tortoise, because down here in Florida, very wet. If you live somewhere where there's high humidity, portions of Texas, not a good idea. So definitely don't want to do that, because I think it's more fun to keep these animals outdoors, keep them in a naturalistic environment. If you want to do it, you can indoors, but it's going to just be a little more difficult. Now, here is the elongated tortoise. I love this species. I had a large colony, now lives at my friend's, but I found two that were actually just kind of living in the backyard without any intervention from me for over 2 years. No heating, no nothing. This is a hardy tortoise. They're going to eat a lot of the same foods as our cherryheads. These guys here are also what I would consider more of a forest species. They're going to live in more canopy. These guys here are going to interact more with humidity, water, different fruits, things like that. They stay small. That's the adult size, maybe just a tad bigger, but they are incredible, interesting species. They get this pink head during the breeding season. They get a yellow head also. Let's see, this is a male. We know that because of the concave plastron and that long tail with that keratinous horn at the end of it. There is another male in here. Let's see if I can pull him out. Oh, he's running back in. Very difficult to pull him out. Hold on. Oh, no, he's strong. He's strong. He's strong. Oh my God, he's got himself really wedged in there, guys. I don't want to bother him. You get the idea. It's another elongated tortoise. Very, very cool. So, again, a good species to keep here in Florida because I don't have to stress on them. Now, if it gets super cold, I will, of course, put them in a heated shelter because I don't like to stress them out if I don't have to. It's very important to keep an eye on these tortoises because they are well outside of their natural range. Okay, there you go. Let's move along. All right. We're going to go to the final tortoises that I keep here at the old camperoo. I think you guys know them. You love them. They are Oh no, that's not a tortoise, that's my Kubota. I love that thing too. But let's keep on moving. Keep on moving, people. And we're gonna go on over to our redfoot tortoise enclosure. So the redfoot tortoises here at the camp, there goes a basilisk, are from South America also. And once I get in here, they're probably gonna start wandering around. There we go. It's earlier in the morning, so they're out. We've got a nice, beautiful stream here for them to drink. They love to hide under this. Recently I came in here and I blocked it off because they were going too deep into that crevice. I don't want them to disturb the pond liner. But yeah, these guys are great. Again, similar to the cherryheads, except that their heads turn yellow as they age. They're gonna eat the same foods, a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. Again, a highly adaptable species. They do like higher humidity, so Florida is absolutely perfect. These guys are found in forests, in grasslands, but they tend to be found near water and in places where rain is somewhat abundant. They will go through a dry season in some of their range, but for the most part, they are not, absolutely not, a desert species. So they like that humidity. It's very important to have that humidity. That being said, they're smart. They wander in and out of their heated shelters. Okay, so during the winter they have this area. I can lock them up if it gets too cold. You don't want these guys to get below 65 degrees for very long. Otherwise you're going to start getting upper respiratory problems with them. So again, a species here that I absolutely love to keep. I just think they're awesome, man. Just a great tortoise. Make sure it's shut. And look at the size of this male that we recently got. He's a big boy. And you can throw ferns. I throw all kinds of foods in here, plants when I'm weeding, and they nibble on it and enjoy themselves. So that is a large male right there. And then we've got about 37, almost 40 of them now. So really, really cool species. So I highly recommend these as well, especially if you live someplace where there's ample rainfall. So you could set these guys up outdoors once they get large enough to not be attacked by any predators. So there you have that. Okay, let's move on over to our final species that I'm excited about. We're gonna go inside. This was a bucket list animal for me, and they are a highly ornamental species, and this is the Burmese star tortoise. These little guys are doing well as some baby cherryheads and redfoots. There's the little hair-lip guy. We've got him. And then, of course, there is the Burmese star. Now, we have two of these. They are growing and doing well. These are from, of course, Myanmar, which was also called Burma many years ago. These animals are found in grasslands, but they can take higher humidity. The Indian star or Sri Lankan stars don't tend to do well in Florida. I had a whole colony of Indian stars, and one by one they started to get sick and die until I sent them to live someplace drier. Now, there's often people that say you can acclimate these tortoises if you get them very young and raise them up in humidity. But my experience has been, over the long haul, they never do as well as tortoises that are just built to live in higher humidity environments. So these are my very first group, or rather, I have, I don't know if it's a true pair, but there are two Indian stars. There's a little cherryhead in there, and these guys tend to be doing very well, or do very well in these humid conditions. So there you have it, guys. And again, they're going to be more of a grassland species, and they eat the leaves and grasses and any kind of browse. There they go. They're going to hide right there. So there you have it, everybody. Those are the tortoises that I keep here at the camp. I love them. They keep my life fulfilled. I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little walk around our little tortoise town that we have here at the camp. I'm always interested maybe in a couple other species, and I have kept different species like the mountain tortoises, which are very good in Florida. So there are a few species we didn't go over, but right now these are the species I'm focusing on just because of the ease that I can care for them with. Can't wait to get those guys grown up. Maybe get a few more of them. We're talking about the Burmese stars. Set them up outdoors. It's going to be a lot of fun to see them do well over the next few years here at the camp. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and maybe you learned something. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you again on another video real soon. Bye.